Bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa, and today I'm taking a break from one of the last days of Victober to bring to you my Nonfiction November TBR. As always, the lovely ladies who host Nonfiction November are Olive from A Book Olive and Gemma from Nonfic Books, and they have come up with some wonderful open-ended prompts for us this year, and I can't wait to show you all of the books that I hope to read for the month of November. So the first prompt is Pastime, Pastimes. So for that prompt, I have picked to read How to Be a Victorian, A Dawn to Dusk Guide to Victorian Life by Ruth Goodman. It is literally a pastime, the Victorian era, and it is one of my pastimes to learn about Victorian society and read books about Victorian England. This is a book that's been on my shelf for a while that I've been meaning to read. It's written by a historian who apparently really takes you into the world of Victorian England. The second challenge is self-shelf. So I made sure to pick two books off of my shelf, not off of myself. That doesn't make any sense. And I have these two lovely books. The first one is Ex Libris by Fadiman, Confessions of a Common Reader. And this book is a memoir by Fadiman all about her reading life. She recounts her lifelong love affair with books and language, and I think it really will demonstrate how the books she's read have created her sense of self. So I really want to read this one. The other book I'm considering reading for the self-shelf challenge is The Professor and the Madman, which is one of Olive's recommendations for this challenge and also one that happens to be sitting on my shelf. And this is about the story of how the Oxford English Dictionary was made. But it's apparently also a tale of murder and insanity. So, evidently, the person who had a large contribution in fabricating the Oxford English Dictionary was an American Civil War veteran, but also an inmate at an asylum for the criminally insane. The third challenge is Wander, Wonder. So for this challenge, I decided to wander around my library and pick up a book, or in this case, kind of two books, that intrigued my sense of wonder. So the first book was The Art of the English Murder by Lucy Worsley. Lucy Worsley is an amazing historian and person. I really loved reading her biography of Jane Austen recently, and I can't wait to pick something else up by her. So I think this will be a really interesting read. It'll tie into a lot of different topics that I'm interested in, I think, like the Gothic, and Victorian society. The title says also From Jack the Ripper and Sherlock Holmes to Agatha Christie and Alfred Hitchcock. I was particularly intrigued by the table of contents. How to enjoy a murder. House of Wax, true crime. It even has an entire chapter on Charles Dickens' crime writer. And then it goes on to Enter the Detective. It talks all about detective fiction, The Good Wife, Detective Fever, A New Sensation, Monsters and Men, and then it talks about Part 3, The Golden Age, The Duchess of Death, The Great Game, Snobbery with Violence. These are just really wonderful subject headings, and I'm very excited to see where she takes this book. I think this book will talk about what I've thought about a lot, which is the evolution of the Gothic and the gruesome to the detective figure, certainly the early detective figures, and then early detective figures onto horror. So that's just an interesting transition, and I feel like she'll probably be addressing that in this book. Another book I picked up while wandering around the library, which is also applicable to the fourth challenge, though, is The Honor Code, How Moral Revolutions Happen by Kwame Anthony Appiah. This book is all about what causes moral progress. The author is a philosopher who takes a look at past cultures and past practices that have since been deemed morally corrupt, and look at how and why those practices have changed. So I know that the book looks at honor killings in Pakistan, as well as foot binding in China, as well as the transatlantic slave trade. And for such a small book, I don't know how it fits all that in it, but I'm really excited to find out. So the fourth challenge is Micro Macro, and for that one I have picked The Death of Truth by Michiko Kakutani. And its subtitle, which is covered on my library copy, is Notes on Falsehood in the Age of Trump. So Michiko Kakutani is a Pulitzer Prize winning critic. She used to work for the New York Times as a book reviewer. And this is apparently all about the current political climate and how we treat the truth in media today. I am really interested to hear what she has to say about our current political climate and the current state of the press and the media. I feel like there's going to be a lot of little micro things that she points to that end up creating the larger macro political climate that we live in today. So, yes. Also, though, the one I just talked about, the honor code, how moral revolutions happen, definitely fits the last challenge because it talks about all of these practices individually, all these examples, and presumably from those examples, the author will come to some conclusion about how moral revolutions happen. So, yes, a lot of books to read. I probably won't get to all of them this month, but I'm very excited for them. Are you taking part in Nonfiction November this year? If so, I would love to see your TBR. What are you reading? What are you excited to read? So yes. Have you read any of these books? Do you recommend that I read one in particular? Because as I said, I don't think I can get to them all. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Bye!